every so often somebody will ask me, do you know a good like documentary or something about graffiti art that I can watch? Because I need a bit of help. And the answer is yes, I do. And anybody of my generation also knows this documentary that you should watch. There's this one. This is so familiar to those of us who grew up in the 80s. This dropped in the UK, 85, was it? Gosh, it's a long time ago now. I think it's 85. If it wasn't 85, then let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it was 85. Because there was a whole wave after this, particularly 86, of writers starting up in the UK. Graffiti had been around in the UK since about 83. I think 83 was the very first wave. But they were the really early ones. Like Juice and 3D and yeah, a few others. And it wasn't until Star Wars dropped that it really started to take off in a much bigger way. So Star Wars is a great documentary by Tony Silva about the New York scene, which, I mean, I don't know how they classify this nowadays, but strictly speaking, by the time this was made, graffiti had been around for a long time. If you think that Cornbread was writing in Philadelphia in, 69, and Cornbread was the first writer. So 69 he'd been doing it. If you look at Fuzz One and Blade and Colt and those guys, Colt, am I talking about Colt? I get Colt and Coma mixed up. Memory, man, memory. Those guys, anyway, the early New York pioneers, those guys, that was 71, I think it was. 71, 72. I think, in fact, I think they say that 71 to 76 were the really big years on the subway. Super Cool 223, Spin, Crash, these guys, yeah, really early on the subway anyway. So by the time this come around, this is well into the game, well into it. So they're really established, and you've got the guys, a lot of the guys in here were inspired by, you know, I don't know what they, like I said, I don't know what they call themselves, maybe the first wave, like the Fuzzes and the Blades and those guys. So in here we meet people like Lee Quinones and Scheme and Revolt and Zephyr and Min and Is the Wiz, Scene, Duster. You know, these guys who are like complete legends now to us. And they're doing work on the New York subway, which is, you know, just it's gone. Oh, I didn't mention Dondi. Got to mention Dondi. He's one of my favourite writers of all time. They're doing work which would create a sort of artistic foundation that was going to be exported all over the world in this documentary. This documentary would take it out into the world in a much bigger way. Like I say, handfuls of people in Europe were getting hold of it and running with it already from 83. And I think 83 was, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, chaps, but I think 83 was the year Rocksteady Crew did their world tour. And we'd had Futura with The Clash. He toured with The Clash, and so Graffiti was getting out there a little bit. And then we got Rocksteady touring in 83, and hip-hop was starting to get out there into the world. So we were aware of it. We were aware of little bits of graph. All, you know, it wasn't in the mainstream at all in those days. So things like the Buffalo Girls video, Malcolm McLaren, that sort of stuff. We've seen little tiny bits of graph here, there, and everywhere. And just those of us who were caught up in it were like, "Oh my God, what's that? It's amazing! It's amazing! Incredible! Amazing! What is it? How can I get more?" Then this came up in the mid-80s, and everybody jumped on it. And it was followed by books like Subway Art and Spray Can Art. They were the two big ones for a long time. They were the books you could get. And eventually media started to catch up a little bit, and we started to get magazines in Australia. You've got Hype magazine, you've got Flashbacks magazine, you've got the International Get Hip Times Phase 2's publication you put out in New York. In the UK, we finally got Graffitism, and nowadays print media's sort of gone out of fashion, which is a great shame. But we had a lot of those kind of things. But if you want to watch a definitive documentary about New York subway culture, this is the one. Watch this if you haven't seen it. I know, by the way, I know a lot of people watching this will have already seen this, and so, you know, you already know. But for those of you who don't know, who are a bit new to it, and when I say new, I always mean like within the last 10 years, because you know, that's new. So if you've never heard of it or never seen it, give it a watch. You'll be fascinated by it. It will show you the roots. So that's Style Wars. Let's show you another one. This is Writers. Now this, so you've seen the New York one, Style Wars. This is amazing for European graffiti history. So this is, for those who don't speak French, 20 years of graffiti in Paris, 83 to 2003. And this has got guys like, so real pioneers like Bando, Shu, Delta. By the way, Shu and Delta are not from Paris. They weren't from France, but they travelled. They were the early sort of European travellers. Shu was from Amsterdam. Delta was from, oh God, where's Delta from? Is he from Denmark? Ah, sorry, Delta. Can't remember. Amazing writer. Amazing. Just groundbreaking early writers, European writers who jumped on Graph 83 as it was being exported from New York. You've got people like J1 of the BBC crew. You've got Bando of Crime Time Kings, but also of Chrome Angels. You know, CTK and TCA, Cult, Spirit, and most famously, of course, Mode 2, because Mode was living in London, and then Bando came out. It's all in this documentary, actually. He was living in London. Bando visited the UK, and it wasn't long after that that Mode 2 moved to Paris and started to do his work over there. So you've got, in this documentary, it goes through the whole of the history of that, and you will see pieces in here that you just won't see anywhere else unless you've been lucky enough to see photos from people, or if you've ever read the book All City Writers by Andrea Caputo, that also has got a lot of this history, and that's got like that's got extensive European history, and it's a big massive thick book. I'll have to show you that one day. Actually, it's a ridiculous, like, it's literally an encyclopedia of graffiti, which is why I haven't shown you it so far, because it's too extensive to go into. But this as a documentary is brilliant. The one problem, if you don't speak French, is a lot of it's in French. But I would say don't let that put you off. Some of it's in English, some of it's in French. Quite a lot of it, probably about 80% of it is in French. But don't let that put you off, because it's narrated by Vincent Cassel as well, who's the movie star, you know, and from La Haine, brilliant actor as well, who also apparently had a real interest in graph. But the visuals in it are what you want. The graphics are all done by Lokis, who's an amazing grapher from back then, original first wave Parisian French graffiti artist. You know, for those of you who know, you really do know. Who else? People like Echo, John 1. Because did John 1 go? Somebody tell me in the comments. John 1 went to live in Paris as well, I think, and he was from New York, obviously, but he came to live in Europe. You got Boxer, who did those fantastic chrome walls with Bando. Bando started to really develop his ethos over this time as well, which was this thing about letters and about how letters should be formed Letters should always be able to stand on their own. He started to do, with Boxer, him and Boxer, they do characters, and they do their names, Bando, Boxer, character in the middle, all in chrome and black. All in chrome and black, or chrome and dark blue. And the idea was that style needs no colour, in a way. That's what it is. It's like, you know, your style should be able to stand without anything to support it. No colours, no camouflage, no nothing. Your letters should be that good, and your characters should be that good. And they were. That's the thing. They were. So this documentary, I'm going to put links to a bit of Star Wars and this in the description, so check it out. Just have a look, see what you think. So I've got one more for you. This last one's an interesting choice. So this is one of the Graffiti Verite sort of instructional videos, and the reason I picked this one is because this guy, Sano, so he's US artist, can't remember where he's from. I think he might have been from the Midwest or somewhere like that, but he moved out to California. And in this one, he's painting the one of the famous graffiti walls at Venice Beach, and he's doing a big character and a big sort of semi-straight letter piece. And it's one of the best videos I've ever seen for laying down paint on a wall and how you do it. It's just superb. It's a brilliant instructional video. For anybody starting out, you need to get this. And I don't know how difficult it is to get this nowadays. It might be really difficult. I've not checked. But see if you can, because I don't know what the rest of these were like, but this one is absolutely fantastic. The way he uses dark colours on a... So it's a black mulched wall. He uses dark colours, he uses bright colours. The way he lays down his outlines, the way that he shows you how to do a photorealistic character, slightly stylized character, not photorealism really. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But you know, you can see it here. It's just brilliant. The way he lays down paint is superb. You know, he's an expert, and he's really good at what he does. Very nice guy, Sano, and yeah, if you're a beginner, you've got to check it out. Check it out. If you've got any struggles with your painting, then this is one of the videos that will show you the way. Some really useful tips and tricks, few hacks, all that kind of stuff along the way. Check it out. Try and check it out. Try and get a hold of a copy for yourself. So there you go. There's three really fantastic bits of graph media for you to check out. Hope you enjoyed that.